The holidays can be a tough time for our dogs, especially dogs who have dysregulated nervous systems or a history of aggressive behavior. So let's talk about how to keep everyone safe. First up, whether you are having visitors come to your home or you are traveling with your pets, now is not the time to work on training. This is a time to focus on management. There will be better times to work on training, to work on introducing dogs to each other, to work through stranger danger, to build relationship, to address resource guarding. Now is not the time. Remember that your dog is going to be stressed. The level of stress is going to depend on the pup. But even dogs who are not behaviorally complex and are going to be having positive experiences are going to be out of their routine. They're going to be overextended more than usual, socially, mentally, physically. And that can make it harder to show up as our very best selves. For dogs with dysregulated nervous systems, this is an especially difficult time. Being out of routine, taking car rides, meeting other dogs and people, or just being in the same house as them, having more people in a small space than they're used to. Did I mention being out of routine? So remember, your dog's threshold for stress is going to be lower than normal, and this is especially true for dogs who struggle to regulate their arousal, for dogs who struggle with resilience to stress, or for dogs who have nervous system responses that are not necessarily in line with their actual safety. Make sure that if your dog is prescribed event medication for stressful events, that you have enough of it to get through the holiday. If you are using an event medication for the first time, make sure that you've trialed it before the stress event so that you can make adjustments as needed. You don't want to find out during the stress event that your dog has a negative side effect to the event medication or that it's not a strong enough dose they've adrenalized through. While you, the pet parent, might be very used to management in your own home, remember that your visitors or the people you're going to visit are not. And there is a huge difference between the ease of management when you are used to living with hypervigilance and when you have never experienced that. So take extra precautions. If your dog is enjoying a sanctuary space away from other dogs or guests, it might be helpful to lock the door, to put a sign on the door, and to ensure that there's more than one barrier so that if a dog slips through a baby gate when someone opens it or it doesn't latch, they don't immediately run right up to the other dog or child or person that they are supposed to be separated from. There's a second barrier. This can be the difference between a dog bite and a dog fight, or a scary moment that ultimately results in no harm. Focus on calming enrichment. A lot of times, in a sort of misguided attempt to help our dogs relax, we might try to tire them out and focus on high arousal games like fetch and tug. We don't want our dogs to be exhausted. An exhausted dog in a stressful situation is going to be less able to cope, but we do want their needs to be satiated. So we can satiate social, physical, and mental needs through calming enrichment. Focus on sniffing, licking, chewing. If we are going to play high arousal games like tug, fetch, flirt pole, running around, play, turn it into an on-off switch game so that your dog isn't just going up and staying there, but instead can get in a little practice coming up and down. This is a great time for licky mats, chews, snuffle mats, nose work, but make sure that your pup can enjoy their enrichment item visually and physically separated from other dogs and people. It can be helpful to plan out what your holiday trip is going to look like, or your events at home, and notice which events, what times of day are you going to want to be fully present. Present opening, meal time, those might be the moments where you want your dog to be up and away and resting. And then there may be other times where you can schedule in to take a break with them, or where they may be part of the activity when you can actively supervise. The three most common catalysts for intra-household aggression are resources, tight spaces, and arousal. So plan to keep family pets separated if there's any history of tension or aggression during high arousal times like cooking, visitors arriving, kids playing, presents being opened. Anytime there's resources, remember that resources can include things like space and people, affection, safe people, beds, sleeping spots, quiet spaces away, in addition to things like chews, toys, and food. Ensure that your dog always has a way to move away, that there is a quiet space that they can go. And if they try to take space and move away, don't insist that they come back. Let them take that space to go and relax and rest. Remember that puppies and adolescent dogs often are sleeping closer to 18 to 20 hours a day than not, and that adult dogs sleep 12 to 14, and that with the extra activity, we might see additional sleep. Ask people to engage in consent testing before touching your dog. If they are going to have trouble following those directions, give them an alternative behavior. Ask them to toss treats for your dog away from their body and behind your dog so your dog can practice retreating from the person. Be careful to modify this as needed for resource guarding issues or arousal issues with other dogs in the home. Tight spaces. I forgot to talk more about that. Tight spaces. The space between your sofa and the coffee table, that is one of the hardest. But also thresholds, doorways, small rooms. Having your dog on leash. All of these ways that we might see our dogs believe that their ability to move away is compromised. And a dog who doesn't believe that they can flight may be more prone to opt for a fight response. Avoid punishment, avoid suppression. No yelling, no hitting the dog, no leash pops, no shot collars, no penny cans, no spray bottles. These tools will ruin your data. They will take away your warning signs that tell you the dog is distressed. They can increase anxiety, increase aggression, and they can really set us up to have a bite that happens out of nowhere. Check out the resources at familypaws.com if there are going to be babies or toddlers. We want to practice dog safety around babies and toddlers. This means active supervision. It means ensuring that the dog can enjoy their resources in peace. It means not staging uncomfortable photos. It means not letting the children ride on or pull or hit the pets. If there is a dog bite or a dog fight, remember that in the days following that and the minutes and the hours following that event, it is incredibly likely that if the opportunity presents itself, we will see that repeated. It is not uncommon at all to see a fight and then another fight that afternoon and another fight that next day, or a bite and then another bite, because the dog is trigger stacked. They're still stressed. So if they are exposed to that trigger again, it is likely that they will have that same response. So if there is a dog fight or a dog bite, separate your pet from other dogs and people, use your event medication, focus on calming enrichment, increase your management, and don't go into any other stressful situations for several days after. And let your behavior consultant know that it happened right away. They want to know, I promise.